Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is probably the most popular request that I have received in my time as a YouTuber, and that is my top 5 niches of 2023 for high-ticket dropshipping. Let me preface this video with a few things. First off, all of the niches that I'm going to talk about are niches that I genuinely believe have potential to do very well in high-ticket dropshipping. That said, I also still firmly believe that the best niches for high-ticket dropshipping or high-ticket e-commerce are the ones that you discover on your own and that nobody has heard of. I've got students in my course that are bringing me niches pretty much on a weekly basis that I would have never even considered that they found on their own. My high-ticket dropshipping course teaches how to research niches, how to find your own. I am not going to give you a niche. A lot of what I do in my course is walk through just browsing and kind of show you my thought process of how I research different niches, how I brainstorm different product ideas, how I kind of go down little rabbit holes of different product types. There's no one set formula to finding the perfect niche, which is what makes it so challenging. But it also provides an advantage to those that genuinely want to do well in high-ticket dropshipping, because if it was easy to find the perfect niche, then everybody would be successful in it. So if you're armed with the tools, if you are armed with the thought processes, and you're armed with kind of the metrics that you're looking for, if you have the proper blueprint to follow, your chances of success in high-ticket dropshipping are significantly higher. While the niches that I talk about in this video, again, I think could do very well, you should also take any YouTube video like this with a grain of salt. This video is public, anyone can watch it, which means anyone can try any of these niches. So they're out there for the public to see, and really that's the main reason intuitively that I take those types of videos with a grain of salt, and you should too. But at the very least, I'm going to go through these niche ideas and kind of weigh the pros and cons just to kind of give you an idea of what I look for in a niche as far as price point, as far as functionality, and kind of give you a peek into my program, which currently has about 140 students that are all working towards building high-ticket dropshipping businesses. One last thing that I think is important to note before I get into the niche ideas is that there are thousands of product types out there that are largely undiscovered by you and me that are great potential candidates as high-ticket dropshipping niches. So without further ado, we're just going to get right into these 5 niche ideas. These are in no particular order, and there is no way for me to say that these are the top niches of 2023, but I do think these are good ones, and I'm going to weigh the pros and cons and the reasons as to why they are good niches. So for the first niche idea, we have swim current machines. And what I'm talking about are these pumps or these machines that you put in a pool at a single end of the pool, and they create a current that you swim against, and they're pretty much for exercise. Competitive swimmers would use them, or just a normal person that wants to get exercise would use that type of thing. My buddy had one back in high school, or my buddy's parents did. And so just looking on Google here, obviously these meet the price point for what we do in high-ticket dropshipping. I always recommend $1,000 minimum. Just doing a little bit of research on these, there are 3 or 4 kind of prominent brands. I'm sure there are more. Doesn't seem to be a ton of competition on these. Doesn't really seem to be a ton of stores that are selling these things. I also think that with this type of product, it would be flexible enough to where you could branch out to other pool-related things like chlorination systems, filters. You certainly wouldn't be just limited to those swim current machines. One downside I could potentially see to this niche is just the seasonality of it. I haven't even looked at Google Trends, but I would imagine that these would be most popular in the summer or in the in the warmer months, and so in the winter time your revenue would be pretty limited to just that of the southern states. But kind of on that vein of thought, I could see how there would be like YMCAs, or there could be local gyms that have an indoor pool or a small pool like this where they want to put in some type of swim current. So while it is seasonal, I also think it has good potential for B2B transactions. And if you can find a niche where a lot of your customers are consistently other businesses, that is a really good place to be, because depending on the niche, they'll either buy more than one of the thing at a time, they'll have larger budgets. Overall, I think this niche could have a lot of potential. Just speaking from experience, I think it would be wise if you were to go this route to have a store that is broad enough where you could expand it to other pool management related stuff. So Price point is good, competition looks good. It definitely has B2B potential. I would say the biggest drawback of this one would just be the seasonality of it. The next niche idea on my list for today's video is gate opener kits. And what I'm talking about are basically the systems that gates at like big residential properties use to open automatically, either by like a key card or by a code or whatever it might be. A lot of commercial properties have these too. So just taking a quick look on Google here, these obviously, a lot of these meet the price point criteria, you know, a little lower than what I might want to see for an average price point. What these also make me think of are whatever they're called, like the parking barrier gates. Let me just type that in and see what comes up. Parking barrier gates. Yeah, these are exactly what I'm talking about. And actually, this would be a really good related product to have in this type of store. Obviously, these price points are even better than the just the gate opening systems. Yeah, I mean, you see these at almost any parking ramp. A lot of commercial properties have these for private parking. This wouldn't really be a residential. This wouldn't really be a residential type niche. This would definitely be a B2B type product type. But again, if you can get into that space, that's a really good space to be, because businesses have much larger budgets. And often they need more than one. Just think of any given parking ramp, they have like 4 or 5 of those things all over the place. I don't think this would be a very seasonal product. I think this would be pretty year-round, because these things are needed all over the country pretty much all year round. I could maybe see a dip in the winter just because these things are always outside and it's colder in the northern states. But without even looking at Google Trends, I do think that this would be a pretty non-seasonal niche. As far as drawbacks, there aren't a ton that are coming to mind thus far. I could maybe see the shipping costs being pretty pricey. I would imagine these take up quite a bit of volume on whatever motor freight these suppliers use. And I'm also assuming that they're pretty heavy. So the heavier something is and the larger it is volume-wise in the box, the more expensive shipping will be. So that would obviously eat into your margins, assuming that you offer free shipping to your customers, which you almost have to do to be competitive in this space. So those are my thoughts on that niche. I think that's actually a really solid niche. Next niche that I have on my list for today is tire changers. They're basically just these machines that will help you change the tire on your car. And if you're a mechanic, if you're a car mechanic, I'm assuming you are very familiar with these things. So just taking a look on Google here, these are what they look like. They're obviously weird looking things. These all meet the price point that I kind of look for. And I'm just looking at how many retailers take up these top spots in the Google Ads auction. Looks like Tool Lots. You see Northern Tool in a lot of different niches. Tool Lots, Best Buy Automotive, All Tire Supply, Tool Lots. So it looks like just a few, I mean really just one retailer that's really dominating these ads, which is actually a pretty good sign competitively. I could also see how you could expand this niche into just like automotive related repair stuff. So maybe like car lifts. I'm not a mechanic myself. I'm sure there's a lot of different expensive tools and systems that car garages use that I just don't know about. I do think the majority of it would probably be B2B business. You know, whether it's just an independent car mechanic that has a garage that needs to buy a tire changer or a car lift, or a larger garage that needs several of them. This does have a lot of B2B potential. One drawback I could potentially see with these is the fact that they are heavy duty. They're probably very heavy and they're probably physically large. I mean, just by the looks of them, which means they would be very expensive to ship. And just speaking from experience, the more heavy duty something is, you know, especially something made out of this like stainless steel or just very heavy metal stuff, the margins don't tend to be great on those things, especially when you take shipping into account. So at the end of the day, you know, you could have an uncompetitive niche, you could have good demand for it, you could hit all the check marks, but if the margins aren't there, then the juice sometimes isn't even worth the squeeze. And I think that would maybe be the case in this one, but again, there's no way to really know the margins until you get them from potential suppliers. I guess one other thing about this niche is a huge plus would be the fact that it's very function/need based. People wouldn't really get this type of product just like for fun or for enjoyment. It serves a purpose. For businesses, it is literally so they can perform their job. And really, no matter what niche you're getting into, I think having it be need-based is the best possible situation. So those are my thoughts on this niche. I think it has potential. The only drawback I see is that I don't think the margins would be very good. The next product idea on the list is UV sterilizers. I had no idea what these were until I started browsing around. I can't even remember how I stumbled upon them. They're like these filters that are used to basically clarify water using ultraviolet light that kills bacteria and algae and other stuff in the water. So people use them for their ponds, people use them for aquariums. For the price point that we would want, it would be more used for ponds and larger bodies of water. So just looking on Google here, I did filter this page to the ones that are over $1,000. There are a couple main brands. Aqua Ultraviolet is a pretty dominant brand here, but these all meet the price point. They're very peculiar, obviously. I had never heard of them. Maybe more people have, I don't know. But I could see how you could expand this into other like filter related stuff or even pumps, but I think this would be a good one. I don't think these would be very expensive to ship, just looking at these pictures of them. One drawback I see with this niche would probably be the seasonality, since these look to be more suited for outdoor applications. So similar to the pool current generators, in the winter time, revenue would probably go down pretty significantly, and you would have to shift all of your advertisements to just the southern states where it's still warm. However, these are very function and need-based things. It's for people that need to clear up their ponds in their backyard or whatever type of body of water they might have. And they don't look very heavy, so I would imagine the margins would be pretty decent on them. So overall, a pretty good niche. It would just be a seasonal factor that you would have to take into consideration, because the winter months would probably almost certainly be quite a bit slower. The last niche idea for today's video is pumps. Now, this sounds extremely broad because it is. I had no idea that there were so many freaking types of pumps out there in the world. There are different types of pumps for different applications, and right off the bat, I pretty much already know that this would have a lot of both B2B and B2C potential. So I did a Google search here. I just typed in large pumps, and this is what came up. I probably wouldn't recommend advertising this expensive of a product. A lot of these are really outside of the price range for what I would recommend as far as advertising goes. But as you can see, these are very expensive. I'm not sure why it's giving me shoes here. But I'm just gonna look at one of these stores just to see what kind of pumps there are. And I mean, look at this. There's literally like 30 different types of pumps here, and within there I'm sure there's different brands, there's different suppliers, there's different price points. A ton of it would be very expensive. I can almost guarantee you that. I'll look at some of these. Yeah, so as you can see, I mean, all of these meet the price point that we're looking for. Similar to the UV clarifiers and the tire changers, I think the biggest plus for the pumps would be the fact that they are very, very function and need based. You don't buy a pump for fun. You don't buy it for your personal enjoyment. You get a pump to serve a purpose or to perform a job. And so at that point, it's just making your website so that it is very easy for the buyer to find exactly what they need. They might be looking for a specific brand, they might be looking for a specific function, and if you can figure out how to present the information on the website that tells them this is the pump that you need for this situation and it's in their budget, then your conversion rate will be extremely high. I don't think there would be a lot of seasonality for this. I think maybe it would dip a bit in the winter because I could see pumps being used more outdoor than indoor, or there would just be less outdoor use in the winter time. I can also see how the margins would be really, really good on this. Again, I'll say this ad nauseum, there's no way to know margins until you actually get the price sheets from your suppliers. And as you can see, you can expand it into so many different pump types and still come off as very much an authority in the pump space. Kind of evaluating the list of niche ideas that I just gave you, I think that pumps would probably have the greatest potential. I think they would probably have the best margins. They wouldn't be very seasonal, and they are very need-based and function-based. So that does it for this niche review video. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe for all high-ticket dropshipping content. I'll say this every video, please let me know in the comments what kind of content you guys want to see. It's really helpful for me as far as coming up with content. If you're serious about getting into high ticket dropshipping, I really recommend checking out my course. If you have any questions about my course, feel free to shoot me an email. It is joe@vcommerceacademy.com. Otherwise, feel free to subscribe in the meantime or follow my social media accounts, which I will post below in the description. So until next time, thanks for watching.